Luna and I tied the knot years ago. Initially, our union wasn't fueled by wild passion, but nonetheless, we shared a content and joyful existence. However, Luna grappled with one significant issue. Our mutual comprehension was non-existent, and to add to that, she possessed a rather complex personality. Unfortunately, Luna often viewed things negatively and consistently saw her daughter as ineffectual. I never once thought this discord would trigger our separation. Despite her mother's harsh critique, Luna maintained frequent contact with her, often ending up in tears for days post their conversations. I made attempts to broach the subject, hoping to either blunt the impact of her mother's harsh words or reduce their interactions. Yet my efforts proved fruitless. Then one afternoon, Luna burst through the door after work, exclaiming right from the get-go, "I figured out how to deal with my mom issues." "Curious," I inquired. "Oh, and what might that be?" With a spark of hope in her eyes, she announced, "A therapist." Apparently, a close acquaintance had recommended an excellent therapist who specialized in familial dynamics. "Do you reckon it's worth a shot?" my wife inquired. "Sure, it's definitely worth a shot," I replied. "Maybe a psychologist will actually be helpful for you." But when Luna dropped the bomb on me about the cost of the session, I was flabbergasted. I even considered switching careers, but hey, what wouldn't you do for your better half? Naturally, I handed over the cash for the consultation. After her initial session, Luna returned entirely delighted. "You know, I really enjoyed it. It does wonders for organizing one's thoughts." She chose to keep seeing this psychologist, while I came to terms with the fact that it would cost us a pretty penny. Throughout this period, she couldn't stop raving about the expertise of this professional. Interestingly enough, it seemed her relationship with her mother genuinely started to get better. At least, that's what she claimed. Luna appeared more upbeat, yet somewhat troubling to me was how she started acting distant towards me. This shift was unsettling, to say the least, and left me puzzled about what was unfolding and what steps I should take next. Should I seek assistance from a therapist to mend our bond? Unable to hold back, I posed the question directly. "Luna, what's the matter? Have troubles crept into our relationship as well? You barely acknowledge me nowadays. Do I mean nothing to you?" "Hey, listen," she replied sharply. "You're well aware of the struggles I'm facing. Please, give me some space." Once I heard those words, I couldn't help but ponder whether I was indeed a genuine egotist. However, everything started to make sense one day. Luna rang me up and mentioned that she was headed over to her mother's once she wrapped up her work. That evening, I figured I'd swing by the mall for a little shopping. As I pulled into the parking lot of the shopping center, I caught sight of Luna stepping out of a restaurant, her arm linked with that of a guy. I was absolutely floored by the sight before me. Slamming on the brakes, I leaped out of the car and dashed towards them. I can't wrap my head around this. What on earth is happening here? Is this the get-together with Mom? Luna and her companion swiveled to face me. She looked genuinely shocked, speechless even. There she stood, mouthing words like a fish out of water. But her buddy seemed to be of some significance. Just then, a security guard from the nearby eatery started approaching us. To avoid any run-ins with the authorities, I nudged Luna towards the vehicle while the guard engaged in conversation with the man. She fought against it, yet eventually climbed into the car, and once we pulled into the driveway, I was hit with all sorts of revealing insights about myself. I have a feeling she's been pretty much brainwashed. Luna didn't even bother to defend herself. After laying bare her opinions about me right there in the open, she simply turned and went off to gather her belongings. If this is your choice, Then our paths must separate, I said. What could she object to such a position? The moon went away, and at first my world became gloomy, but eventually a semblance of peace returned. I resumed my relationship with my circle of friends, and soon the rumors reached my ears. Apparently, Luna and the same psychologist I saw her with were now together. She moved in with him, but their happiness was short-lived. Soon he made her pack her bags. And now Luna finds herself back at her mother's house. Their relationship escalated further as her mother couldn't understand why Luna had abandoned our relationship. One night, the cracked voice of Luna was heard in the phone call, begging for some forgotten things to be returned. When I opened the door, she was standing there with tears in her eyes, begging for a second chance. I refused and closed it for her forever.